Hello everyone, Kevin Iverson here, I hope you're all doing well. In today's video I'm going to sort of go into some depth with some atmospheric guitar sounds. I'll try and show you what I generally use when I'm after some atmospheric stuff, and I'll try and give you some tips if you haven't got a lot of money to spend out and think about what you want to get. So anyway, today I thought I'd use my Telecaster. It's a bit iffy, the input jack's a bit scratchy, so I apologise about that. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to my channel. It really helps us out. I'm only a small channel, so all your support really helps. Thank you very much. Back on with this. So I've got my Telecaster, a Mexican Telecaster. That's running into a volume pedal. I've got a Dunlop volume pedal. I have got a Boss one, but it's really old and it's sort of been in storage for years. I tried it out and it's a bit scratchy. So this would be better if it's on the floor, but I've got this like zip tied to my pedal board so it doesn't move about when I go and play live. So I'm going to do this with my hand today, but it would be better with me if I was using my feet. That's then going, it splits off into the tuner, which is always on, but telly, volume pedal, phase shifter, fuzz, nobles, overdrive, super ego, echo, reverb, then out into the blues breaker. Clean signal with nothing on is that. Super duper clean. I always have the Nobles overdrive on because that's just my thing. I like a bit of overdrive on the guitar. Sounds like this, which is bringing the volume down a little bit. So the level, the drive is set at around sort of like 11 o'clock. The bass cut and the spectrum, that's about the same place as well. That's on about 1 o'clock. I mean, sometimes the spectrum goes at 12 as well. Sounds quite nice. Yeah, about 1 o'clock on the spectrum. So first thing I guess we'll talk about, right, is reverb. So obviously this is the Boss RV6. I'm not affiliated with any of this gear, and I've got it on. So I've got it on a shimmer setting, right? Now the level and the tone is set around sort of like 9-10 o'clock. If I put the tone on 12 o'clock, right, this is what it sounds like. You'll hear like a keyboardy synthy type thing, right? That, you get that. So that's really usable when you're doing atmospheric stuff, right? So if I just leave that as it is, and then just use that and the volume pedal. Another little tip as well, right? If you sort of play around with G, B minor and D, right, so I'll do that now, right? And again, with chords, right, you can play a full chord. Let me just turn this off for a second, right? Play a full chord. Now, I don't know the full technical term, right, but there's some chords that Josh Homme does from Queens of Stone Age, right, where he takes like a G bar chord, but what you do is you only play what you're putting down is your first finger, third finger, and second finger, right? And you kind of cancel out everything else, right? So you end up with this. It's a very Josh Homme chord, right? For example, I used to have a song in a band. We had a song called Crawl. So it's using all those chords, right? Which is very Queens of Stone Age. So you do that, and you can move that wherever you want on the neck. And then when it comes to, like, say, if you're playing like a D or down here, the bar chord's down here. So instead of playing a chord like that, you then play as if you're playing like a D7, right? A D7 chord. But then what you do is you just use your first finger, third finger and fourth finger, if that makes sense, and you dampen all the other strings. Now when you go to a minor, it's the same principle. So if I was playing a G minor, I only want to be playing where my first finger is, my third finger, and then the where the G string is. So I'll have to play it so my thumb's over it. So I've got a G, where my third finger is there, and then my first finger. That's a minor, right? Sounds horrible. So instead of playing that, we're playing that. And here's why. Right, so I'm going to now use just these chords. I'll play G major, D major, and then B minor like that. Which is how I showed you there, but I'm just moving it upstairs. So here we go. This will hopefully make sense. Now what I like doing with this RV6 pedal, with the tone, with it, where you get that synth sound, kind of like that off. So what I'll do is I'm going to put the tone where the synth, how the synth comes in, I'm going to knock it down to about 9 o'clock-ish, so I get this sound instead. So it's sort of there slightly, which I think it sounds more classy than the full-on synth thing. Now obviously it depends on the song you're playing or whatever, like. So now I'm going to stick on some delays, so when I play a chord it really holds the chords out, right? So just a delay by itself, right? Just on a, oh. So it's quite a few repeats. The echo volume and the amount of the intensity knob, right? The echo volume and the intensity is on around between sort of 1, 2 o'clock, right? So when I then, just the echo unit, so the echo unit and the reverb, right? About this is right is that sometimes when I've played in bands and just jam with people, like when you go to a jam session, everyone's like, okay, take a solo, and you could go, which is fun. I love doing that. I really love doing that, you know. I'm into all that stuff. But sometimes if you've also got in your arsenal, you know, well, go and take a solo, and instead of a solo you start sort of doing I once done that at a gig with these people, and like, you know, I'm not the best guitar player in the world, obviously, but sometimes it's stepping outside of the box, you know, doing something that people sort of don't expect. They expect the guitar player to do the normal bluesy guitar player stuff. Whereas if you can pull out something that's atmospheric, it just adds a whole different dimension to a song and a band, and it's just something different. So that's the delay in the reverb. Now I'll show you, I've got a phaser here as well, right? The settings on the phaser, it's heavily influenced by, there's a band called Khruangbin, which is spelled Khraungbin. Spell check me on that one. They're one of my favourite bands, and they're like a world funky, a very worldly kind of sound, what they've got. They're a 3-piece drums, bass, guitar. I think they're fantastic. I've got 4 of their records on vinyl. Unfortunately, I can't play like him, but the guitar player, I can't think the gentleman's name, he's got a phase shifter, one of these, and it's, the reason why I bought that is because of him. Anyway, for this, the rate is set around 11 o'clock, depth is about 3 o'clock, resonance is about 11 o'clock, and then the stage is on 8. So when I put this on, with the echo and the reverb, just gives it a bit of movement. I mean, with it off, with it on, don't do what I just did. Always make sure you're gentle with the volume pedal. So just really come in, like play the chord, then come down on the volume pedal. It's kind of, it takes a bit of getting used to doing the volume pedal thing, because you don't want to be going, sort of turning it on, then going, you don't want to be doing that. So now I'll show you, like with the fuzz, right? So the reason why I put the fuzz on there is sometimes if you want something to really cut through and really be prominent, sometimes by adding a fuzz, and then being really gentle with the volume pedal, because obviously it's going to have a bit more oomph to it, hopefully. Sometimes, you know, if you're having all this atmosphere, sometimes it's nice to have something that's a bit chaotic when you're bringing it in. And then last but not least, of course, is the Super Ego. Now, I've shown you this before when I've done a video on U2, right? Turn these off for a second. Now, really, I should have brought the freeze pedal because it's more simple. This does a lot more than, probably more than what I need it to do. But basically, you play a chord. Oh, there we go, I've already mucked it up. I'll hold that infinitely now. Infinitely, yeah. You've got to tap it twice to turn it off, by the way, if you get one of these. So how I would use this, right? The simplest way to use this, I'd say, especially if you, when I've got the volume pedal, I quite like doing it. You could try, the simplest way is to, like, take, if you're doing G, B, G major, B minor and D, you can even pluck a D, open D. Right, that holds that. Delay, reverb. Now I'm going to play the same chord sequence, really. Quite filmatic to me. I mean, that's just one note. So if we then pick a really nice kind of chord, so if I go, I think it's like a D sus, but I'm not going to play the D root note. So I'm just sort of playing. I'm basically playing these notes, right? Nice way of doing it is like this, really. Have that on, have that on. Phaser on. Phaser and fuzz on, so everything's on. course, what else you can do is really you can feed a phaser into this, or a chorus pedal, or a flanger, or whatever, and that sounds really cool as well when you do that. I'm not doing that today, but that's basically how I achieve atmospheric sounds. Now, of course, you can muck around with the reverb and the delay, also the super ego, and obviously all of these pedals you can muck around with to get more out of it, and you can get some real, like I say, to me it sounds like stuff you'd hear in a film or a TV program that's very atmospheric, but that's how I achieve them. You know, whenever I'm recording stuff, in fact I've got a song called Dancing in the Sound, and what I use for that, right, I'm actually going to turn the echo down slightly, right, tune up the guitar a minute, and all I've got for this sound, right, I'm going to be using the volume pedal, the Noble's ODR Mini 2, Super Ego, Echo and Reverb. This is what I'm going to use for this, and this is one of my own songs, and I was mucking around with this setup, and this is when I wrote my own song Dancing in the Sound, which is on Spotify, iTunes. Go and check it out. So I've got this going on, right? I've got like a C sus, but it's like what I was doing a minute ago. So I'll have that. And then I was doing this. Give me some phaser. And I've got a couple of other songs where I use that as well, which is really cool. But that's basically what I use. That's how I get atmospheric sounds. There's going to be loads of other pedals that, you know, I think Earthquaker devices and stuff do a bunch of pedals that have all these soundscapey sounds you can get with them. But this is just what I achieve with the pedals that I own and what I've got, and I'm very happy with what I've got. Yeah, I hope this has shone some light on atmospheric sounds for you. Maybe it's given you some inspiration. If there's any pedals that you can recommend, we'll stick in the comments for myself and also anyone else that you'd recommend that are very soundscapey. Stick it in the comments. So I'm not affiliated with anything here, so don't forget to subscribe, like, hit the notification bell. I've got t-shirts and bucket hats in my description and in my bio. Also links to my Facebook, Instagram. Check out my music on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, Ask Alexa or whatever. It's really good to have your support, and thank you very much for watching. Have a great day.